All right, today we are diving deep into Beyond Meat's 2025 financials. And let me tell you, the story the numbers are painting is pretty dramatic. We're talking about a company in deep trouble, attempting a massive strategic pivot, all while some very serious red flags are popping up. Let's get into it. But first, just the standard but very important disclaimer, this is for educational and informational purposes only. It is absolutely not financial advice. Okay, let's do this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by looking at the critical crossroads the company is facing right now. Then we're going to follow the money, breaking down a really sharp revenue decline and a profitability picture that is, frankly, pretty misleading. After that, we'll look at the new strategy they're rolling out to try and save the company, expose a huge red flag in their accounting, and finally, peer into the very uncertain road ahead for 2026. So let's start at what you can only call a critical crossroads. The bottom line, right up front, is this. Beyond Meat is a company in crisis. Their response? A huge, high-stakes bet on a completely new identity. But as you're about to see, this pivot is far from a sure thing. Really, the whole situation boils down to these 4 points. First, sales are just collapsing. Second, any profit you see on the books is basically a mirage, hiding massive losses from their actual day-to-day operations. Third, to fix this, management is hitting the reset button with a massive rebrand. And finally, hiding underneath all of this is a giant red flag. The company's own financial controls are broken, which raises some serious questions about how reliable their numbers even are. Okay, so let's dig into that top-line slump first. Just how bad was the damage in 2025, and where exactly is the bleeding coming from? Well, the headline number is pretty stark, a 15.6% drop in total revenue for the year. For a company that used to be a superstar growth stock, a double-digit drop like this is a massive alarm bell going off. And when we break it down by channel, the problem becomes even clearer. This isn't just one bad market, it's systemic. Look at this. It's down everywhere. Grocery stores in the US, restaurants overseas, demand has just evaporated across the board. There are literally no bright spots here. Now, this is a really critical point. This wasn't because they were slashing prices or offering crazy discounts. No, the revenue drop was driven by a nearly 16% drop in the actual volume, the pounds of product that people were buying. This tells us it's a fundamental problem with consumer demand. And here's the proof right here. Look at these volume numbers. The drop is almost identical to the revenue decline, which confirms this is a demand crisis. The worst of it is coming from U.S. food service, restaurants, and other vendors, which saw a collapse of nearly 19% in pounds sold. That's a huge hit. And if you thought those full-year numbers were bad, the fourth quarter shows things were actually getting worse as the year went on. Total revenue was down almost 20%, but just look at international markets. A staggering 32% revenue drop year over year in just one quarter. Ouch. All right, now let's talk about profitability. And this is where the story gets, well, kind of bizarre. Because on the surface, it looks like good news, but when you look past the headline number, you find this massive disconnect between the reported profit and what's really going on in the business. Let's start with the core business. Actually making and selling plant-based meat. In 2025, that business lost a mind-boggling $332 million. But here's the twist. The final number, the net income, was a profit of almost $220 million. So wait a second. An operational loss of over $300 million somehow magically became a $220 million gain. So the obvious question is, how on earth is this possible? How does a company lose that much money from its actual business, but still report a massive profit on the bottom line? And here is the answer. It's not magic, it's accounting. The entire profit came from a one-time, non-cash gain of over $500 million because they restructured their debt. So let's be super clear. This isn't cash from selling more burgers. It's an on-paper gain that completely papers over the huge underlying losses. And if you ignore that one-time accounting gain, the picture gets even darker. The company is also just bleeding money through all these special charges. In the fourth quarter alone, they took a hit of over $100 million for things like writing down the value of their assets and setting aside money for lawsuits. This business is under severe, severe pressure. So, given these incredible financial headwinds, what is management planning to do? How are they going to try and steer this ship back on course? Well, you can hear it straight from the CEO, Ethan Brown. They are making a fundamental shift. They're trying to escape the fake meat label and become a broader plant protein company. This is a huge move to redefine their entire market. Their game plan for 2026 basically has 3 steps. Step 1 is triage. Stop the revenue freefall. Step 2 is about getting healthy. Fix the horrible profit margins. And step 3 is the big pivot. Relaunch the brand and push into totally new product areas. And this is the new flag they're going to be waving. Beyond the plant protein company. The name itself is a signal. They're trying to strategically move away from being just a meat substitute, which could open the door for them to sell a whole range of different plant-based foods down the line. But this whole turnaround story has a massive complication. We have to talk about a major red flag that the company itself has raised. Its internal financial controls are broken. So what is a material weakness? Well, think of it like this. It's basically the financial version of having a smoke alarm with dead batteries. There's a significant risk that a major error, a fire, could break out in their financial reports, and the systems they have in place might not catch it in time. For investors, this is a very serious warning sign. And at Beyond Meat, this is not a small problem. They found a new weakness in how they count their inventory, and that's on top of another weakness they already had. This led to them finding errors in every single one of their quarterly reports in 2025, and it even caused them to miss the filing deadline for their big annual report. That's a huge deal. The SEC now labels them an untimely filer, which really hurts their credibility. Okay, so with sales tanking and their accounting in question, what is the company actually telling investors to expect for 2026? The company itself is being extremely cautious. This quote right from their press release frames their entire outlook as one of elevated uncertainty. That's corporate speak for, we really don't know what's going to happen. In fact, the only hard number they gave for the future was for first quarter revenue. And it suggests the pain isn't over yet. They're guiding for revenue that's even lower than what they just reported for Q4, which means they expect the sales decline to keep on going into 2026. So when you put it all together, this company is navigating a complete minefield of risks. You've got weakening demand, a rebrand that might not work, a shaky cash position, a huge pile of debt, broken internal controls, and just the basic challenge of keeping their products on store shelves. And that brings us to the ultimate question for investors, for the industry, for everyone watching this story. Can Beyond Meat's big strategic pivot actually succeed when it's facing such severe headwinds in the market and these very serious failures inside its own house? So that's our breakdown. The big takeaway here is that Beyond Meat is at an absolutely critical turning point. It's betting its entire future on a new identity to try and overcome some deep, fundamental problems. Whether they can pull it off is the question everyone will be watching. If you found this analysis helpful, please go ahead and like and subscribe for more explainers just like this one.